The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the glorious finale of the Great Debaters Contest. We are in the capital city, Nairobi. Our hashtag is GDC for SDGs. I'm your host, Austin Nyumbo.
And I am Mariam Bishar. And we live in a country that hosts one of the world's largest refugee camps, and in a time of dealing with things such as the Trump travel ban. So we have to ask ourselves, should refugees be integrated as equal citizens of their host countries? Nia girls and Bahati girls, who are both victorious in their respective regions, will be tackling this debate. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Osonga Emma Jaber, and I'm representing Nia Girls High School. And I'm here to propose this motion that indeed refugees should be integrated as equal citizens of their host countries. First of all, allow me to shed some light on this motion. A refugee, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is someone who runs away from their country to seek safety in a different country. They could be running away because of war or other reasons, which may in one way or another affect their rights, their social rights, financially, religious, etc. And integration, which is what we are planning to do to these refugees, is the process of making someone feel as part of the society which they are coming into. And many times this is done to people who are of different culture and maybe nationality. Then finally, the host country in this event is the country to which a refugee will seek asylum. Now, I'd like to make us understand that integration would mean that these refugees are not only taught, they are trained to about the cultures of the country, the laws, and all that, and then they are also trained on various skills which would make them productive as members of this society. We do this with the hope that eventually, they'll be able to exist peaceably with the natives of this country and also be productive to our society. Now, first, I'd like us, we need to really understand the situation of these people we are referring to as refugees. These are people who have left their homes, and it is said that someone does not leave home unless it's a shark's mouth. Not only have they left the place they have known as home all their lives, but also by the time they get to these countries of asylum, these are people who have struggled. They have faced a lot of discrimination, and I'd like to highlight that women and children are most hit hard by such events. And we find that they may be faced with not only discrimination as refugees, but also as feminine, which is many times considered as a weaker sex. These are people who go through sexual harassment, for instance, rape. And when they come into these countries of asylum, they come with the hope that probably they may get a home, somewhere to settle down and begin life afresh, somewhere to get a break from all that torture. And so when they come into this place, let us not forget that these are people who have rights. There are basic rights which cover each and every human being despite your nationality. And these are things that are given to you by virtue that you are a human being, not by virtue that you are a member of a certain society. Not only that, but they are also covered by the UNHCR rights, which cover all refugees. And UNHCR is the United Nations High Commission of Refugees. They have set in place certain rights that protect each and every refugee and their lives. And so when they come into a particular country, the only humane thing that would be there is to accept them, to embrace them, and to give them a chance to start life again. Someone say that the sole purpose of human life is not only to be willing to help someone, but also to do it. So I stand here to posit that the only reasonable, the only humane thing to be done to refugees would be to integrate them as members of this society. I rest my case.
Thank you. Bahati girls, you have 3 minutes for your opening statement.
Falv Mangich, Bahati girls, strongly opposing this motion which says refugees should be integrated as equal citizens of their host countries. Not my brief but precise definition of terms. Refugee, this is a person who flees their country due to social, political, or economic reasons to seek asylum somewhere because they are hoping to obtain protection from the other country. Yes, to integrate is to become or make someone become part of a society or part of a social group, especially when their culture is different from yours. Equal is to treat someone in a similar way as you treat another person. So this motion simply means we'll be giving these people the same privileges that you and I enjoy. To my first point, it will be a gateway for terrorists. You see, let's first revisit the recent cases of terrorist attacks. We're talking about the Garissa University massacre, which led to the death of about 147 students. Then, the Westgate attack, one of the biggest attacks that Kenya has ever faced after the bombing of the US Embassy in 1997. So, a report from UN in December showed that Turkey, a country which has been receiving refugees from Syria, has been one of the biggest routes for supplying weapons to terrorist groups like ISIL, like Al-Qaeda, and also a statement from the former Cabinet Secretary of Internal Security, Joseph Kaiseri, said that the Dadaab camp has been used numerous of times as a route for smuggling goods, for smuggling weapons for Al-Shabaab. So, imagine the Dadaab camp has a population of about 800,000, followed by Kakuma refugee camp, which has a population of about 180,000 people. Al-Shabaab keeps on recruiting people there on a daily basis, and they accept that. You know why? Because they're angry at society, because they have no other way of achieving living there. So they accept to become part of these refugees. These recruits. So, imagine this. We bring them in as citizens, give them the privileges that you and I enjoy. We'll be inviting a bloodbath. To my second point, human nature is insatiable. This is simply whereby it is by human nature you and I will never be satisfied with whatever we are given. Like, take for example, why do you think millionaires keep on working every day and night, spending sleepless nights to get more money, yet they're billionaires? In the same way, right now, when I give you sweet mandazi, definitely you'll want another, right? So, in this same faith, when you give these refugees the chance and the privileges to become part of us, definitely they'll want more. They'll form revolt groups whereby they'll be revolting. They'll even want to segregate a part of our country and make that place their mini country. Really? I'm not saying that we should chase these people. No, we should not chase them. It is humane, it is bizarre. I'm simply saying we can help them in another way, like by working together with the UNHCR, as defined by my friend, to cater for them. We do not necessarily have to integrate them. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hear rebuttals, beginning with Nia Girls. You have 3 minutes.
Tilda Ching from Nia Girls High School. I'd like to ask our opponents, why should we not treat these people like us, yet you're all human beings? That will be so unwise. The same UNHCR says that more of these people, more of these refugees are children. And the adults, like in West Africa, have diseases. How do you expect that person to harm someone else? How? This is a child, someone who can barely do anything, someone who barely understands everything. How will this person affect someone else? Most refugees are unlikely to engage in violent crimes, or simply because we are told more than 18 million of refugees are children. Among the adults, like I've said, they have diseases. They can't affect us in any way. The same UNHCR we are claiming should be the ones helping us taking care of them have been in scandals. When some of the women and children came up to say that these people are asking for sex in exchange of what they're given. How do we go about that? How do we expect these people to work things out if they're the ones molesting these refugees? It doesn't work out. We have to take the responsibility as nations, as the members where these children and these people are, to make them feel like they're human beings, to make them a part of us, to make them feel they're equally human beings, which they are, just like us. As much as we are not from the same nationalities, we are not of the same race. We have to build up humanity. We have to be one people with one thing in common, that we are all human beings, no matter where we come from. These people build up our nations. Let's look at those who are talented. What are we going to do about this? Why should we take these children away from our countries? Yeah, they need education. They need health. They need healthcare. They need all these things, social amenities to grow. What will happen if their own countries can't provide that for them, and we, where they are, can't equally do it? How do you expect these people to survive? Kindly let's feel for these people. Yes, some of them may not be in our country for long, but in most cases, Kakuma, people have been there for years, not having a way to go, feeling depressed, no life. Education is the only way they see as a way out of those places. It is up to us as a nation to take that responsibility, to educate these people, to give them health facilities. Because if not us, as where they are, who else do we expect to do this for them? Who? Why should we make them depressed as we are human beings as them? Some of us are parents. Those should be like our children. It's our responsibility. My responsibility is not just taking care of my kids. What about the other person who has nowhere else to go? They've come a long way from their homes, passed through violations, heavy rainfalls, sunlight, drought. Why should we not treat them as one of us? The people who are talented, like the team that drew attention in the global robotics in this event where Donald Trump helped some of them, and they were able to showcase the talents there, making the name of the country where Donald Trump held to be held high. It is our responsibility to take these people in and make them feel as human beings, because if it's not us, who are we leaving that responsibility to? I rest my case.
Bahati girls, let's hear your rebuttal. You have 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to understand that you do not put a child on a boat if the waters are not safer than the land. Now, in that capacity, a country cannot integrate refugees as equal citizens if their integration is not safer than not integrating them. And in our case, sadly, it is not safe. The proposers say that the aim of integrating these refugees is to help them live in peace and harmony with the citizens of their host countries. Tell you what, they have different cultures, they have different opinions, their way of life is different. How then do we expect that they will live in harmony with us? We are totally different from them. There'll be rivals, fights each and every time because we are different from them. You ask that how can a child harm our security? Emmanuel Jal was an ex-child soldier. He was a soldier at 7 years. The Al-Shabaab are recruiting children as young as 5 years old. Are we still asking the question, how will children harm us? Jitu likujualo halikuli likakumaliza. That is what the Swahili say. In that same manner, if the countries of these refugees are harming them, then how we people that do not belong to us, what can we do to them? We can do worse than what their countries are doing to them. Let's talk about xenophobia, ladies and gentlemen. This is the fear and hatred towards a certain group for certain reasons. And there are two types of xenophobia. We have cultural xenophobia and xenophobia towards the whole group as a large. South Africa is one of the countries that is facing the most cases of xenophobia because they are chasing the expatriates out of their country. And I insist on expatriates because they are qualified people. South Africans are chasing away qualified people. Imagine if you integrate unqualified people like refugees. How then will they take them? If they do not want qualified people, do you really think, with all honesty, that they will accept unqualified people? Let's be logic. 50,000 people plus are still displaced from the 2007 elections 10 years on. There are still people who are suffering from the post-election violence 2007. They are still displaced. And then you want to tell me now that we are going to tell them, the government of Kenya has said that you're going to integrate refugees as equal citizens. We're trying to help other people, yet our own people themselves are not okay. It is not right, it is no logic. Take an example of James Mushiri. James Mushiri is a citizen in Kenya living in the Mathare slums. He has no work, yet he is a graduate from Zitech University with CPA 4. James lives in a slum, lives from hand to mouth, he's a Kenyan citizen, but he's not living like one. So then you go and tell James that we have agreed that you're going to make refugees at Dadaab able to work at Safaricom, for example. They're going to work in South Africa. Yet I have been living in the slums. I am a Kenyan citizen for more than 13 years and have not had the right to work in Safaricom. Do you think they'll take it in peace? No. My time is up. sadly. But I'd like to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, beauty is only skin deep. We don't have to go and advertise how Kenya, we are the good ones. We are good, we follow the Bible, we help the poor. Yet inner piety, we lack it. People in our country are displaced, they are suffering, but we want to help other people. That is not right. We should first help our people before we go to other people. Now that is beauty.
Thank you very much to the audience for their questions. The proposers have been asked, wouldn't integrating refugees cause a strain on the host country's resources? And the opposition have been asked, in light of attacks such as the Westgate attacks that were perpetrated without integration of refugees, does that mean that in allowing integration of refugees would really cause an increase in security or change the status quo? We'll have them respond. Third proposer, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Sandra Pressy from Nia Girls High School, and I'm here to answer the question which has been raised by a member of the audience and go ahead in what we do best, proposing. So the question was, does integration of people bring an infringement to the country's resource? Well, answer is this. First, the refugee number is not that large. It can't affect the whole resource of a country. And secondly, no, it does not really bring an effect. Take an instance of Uganda. 21% of the country, that is the refugees, are able to create jobs for this 40% or for the remaining percentage of people. They are creating jobs. And therefore, you cannot say that the resources will bring an infringement. They are a benefit to the society. Then, to the opposers. They were saying that, a lot of fights kind of make us not want to integrate these refugees. Well, fights are a societal issue. Therefore, it's everywhere. It doesn't mean that because you're fighting, that the refugees are the founder of these fights. So, food for thought. Back to our motion, that refugees should not be integrated as citizens. People, when refugees come, they bring international recognition. Who doesn't want to be recognized here? I want to be recognized. You want to be recognized. Take an instance where there are food eating competitions, and where do people normally go and compete in these food eating competitions? Because of recognition. And to parties, just continue with your work. I mean, that's recognition, so it's good. Same way to our country. When refugees come and when we, as a country, integrate them. That's recognition, international recognition. And at the end of the day, everybody recognizes us and we get investors, we get foreign investors, which promotes SDG goal number 4. Industry infrastructure is being enhanced. When they come, there's that infrastructural development. And also, we are reducing inequality, which is SDG goal number 10. When we integrate them, we give them equal rights, which is very evident that the inequality is being reduced. Point 2, when we integrate them, this is a way of curbing loss of national revenue. These refugees come to a country, they are eating from our pockets. We are catering for their food, we are catering for their meals. This is our money, which could have been used for other things. But then, as a country, we are very kind, we are integrating them. At the end of the day, we will be at a loss because this money is going to them and not to us. Right now, we're talking about inflation. Whereby the maize prices have gone up. We are talking about our educational sector. Instead of using this money to help these people, we could have used this money to build our educational sector. Students, Form 4, this is Matiang'i era. We need more books. We need to be able to find a way of learning, and we need to be able to find a way of coming up. So when we integrate them, we are going to do this. You're going to curb that loss of national revenue. Third, that girl over there from our school, her sister is a victim of this. She is a refugee. She came to the country from Ethiopia, and we are having a case in our school. And you comfortably come here and tell us that we should not integrate these refugees into our country. And what do you think she feels? What do you think that girl feels? This thing is affected. This thing affects everybody. And at the end of the day, we cannot say that we should not integrate refugees. At the end of the day, we need these people. How do you think that girl feels? How do you think I feel? These are our rights. And at the end of the day, I'm sure all of us will have a chance of integrating these refugees. Sandra Pressy, Nia Girls High School.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience.
Nia Girls,
I need to draw you a diagram so that you can understand that the direction you're taking is one that is going to take us as a country, as a nation, down the drain? Do I need to use a physical map? Warrior Ngigi is the name I go by. Bahati Girls Secondary School, Nakuru, is the school I hail from. First and foremost, allow me to respond to the question posed to me by one Mutisia. Mutisia, those are 2 attacks in a span of 4 years. Integrating refugees as equal citizens of their host country will only mean that they have the freedom of movement, the freedom to enter and leave the country as they wish. That means, ladies and gentlemen, that the weapons that come into the country, the rate at which they arrive in the country will be increased. More attacks. Among the reasons behind why I take the opposition stand this morning is one, losing of culture by both the refugees and the persons of their host countries. It is sad, but some of us, ladies and gentlemen, suffer from a very serious case of monkey see, monkey do syndrome. So we integrate refugees as equal citizens. We allow them to mix freely with us. And before you know it, I see them doing something that I think is fancy, and I start doing it. My culture, my way of life is lost. What I used to dress in, I change because I have seen a refugee from Zimbabwe wearing some type of way, and I want to look like her or him. Culture is something very important. The refugees also lose their culture. I love what the first proposer said, that we train them so that they can be able to fit into our country. Let me tell you a story, a very sad story of a Syrian woman in Brazil. Now, according to Ahram Online, for example, Imam Abu Hanifa, one of the founders of Islamic jurisdiction, sanctioned handshaking between men and women. This Syrian woman in Brazil, ladies and gentlemen, suffered tremendously because people could not understand why she does not like shaking hands and why she despises, she's disgusted by the Brazilian habit of hugging. Do I have to hug people yet it is not in my culture just because I'm a refugee and I have been integrated as an equal citizen of the country in which I seek asylum? 2, one of the proposers asked how that sick child is going to harm someone in the country. This is how. If we integrate refugees as equal citizens of their host country, it will mean that we have to include them in our budget. So the government of Kenya, for instance, the government of Nigeria, for instance, will have to allocate some money to take care of that sick Syrian child, to take care of that sick South Sudan child. And we are yet to take care of our very own. Increase in budget. Ladies and gentlemen, we should love refugees, but we do not necessarily have to integrate them as equal citizens of their host country, because we are not yet comfortable enough as a people. Then that will be making them more equal than us.
Nia Girls, you have 1 minute for your final submission.
Back again, Matilda Ching, Nia Girls High School. I used to think that the worst thing in life was to end up alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people who make you feel alone. What am I trying to say? It's best we look for their solutions. Why are these people running away from their countries? That is what we should be solving. That is what we should be trying to do. That is what UNHCR should be trying to do at the moment. Not how they're going to help them once they're in their host countries. They should solve their problems from home to prevent them from running to other countries to seek refuge. That's a solution to make both countries equal, to bring equality to everyone. Let's do what? Solve their problem. That which is making them run away from their nations, that should be our problem. And not thinking of how we are going to make homes for them, how we are going to educate them, how we are going to build hospitals for them, how we are going to seclude them. Let's solve their main problem, which is the reason why they're running away from home. And with that, I rest my case.
Thank you. Bahati Girls, you have 1 minute for your final statement.
Difficult times, ladies and gentlemen, do indeed call for tough measures. This white man saying became a reality when one Patrick Muthomi took to the streets of Nairobi in Rongai area in search for employment. His portable billboard read, Commerce graduate, qualifications in CPA 4, Chuka University. Gilbert Mutai, a former student of Technical University of Kenya, on seeing Patrick, he followed suit. He took to the streets in search of employment. This, listeners, is just but a minute portion of the 39.1% of Kenyans who are suffering from unemployment today. Need I talk about Tanzania? I think I should. The Tanzanians who are employed add up to 24%, Ethiopians 21.6%, Rwanda 17.19%. Get this in crystal clarity. I am not saying that some of the governments of African countries are weak, but let's be factual here. They are not strong. Over the decades, they have proven incompetent and incapable of dealing with the issue of unemployment. Now imagine adding on to these great numbers, qualified, skilled, and talented refugees who, by being integrated as equal citizens, allows them an opportunity to be players in the job market of their host countries. I don't know about you, but from up here, this looks like a serious case of the blind leading the blind. A sad story, one that ends not with a happily ever after, but with and they both wound up in a very deep, dark ditch.
One of the things that I like across the two teams is the passion. And I've also seen a lot the power of repetition. Wariera, who talks about more attacks. And for Nia girls, if not us, then who will integrate them? And that's a very persuasive technique from both sides. At some point, I was wondering, okay, should we integrate them? Should we not? And that's what makes a debate exciting. So that's really commendable. The style and presentation from both sides was also very commendable. Mastery of language was good. The passion and conviction comes across very clearly. But you make reference to various documents or statistics or reports. But the challenge is that you're not telling us what those documents are. And that's important because when you make reference to documents or reports, then we need to know whether they are current, because some of the data that you're alluding to might not hold true today. And two, whether it's a credible source that you're actually citing or quoting.
Our first scores at the final. Nia girls, the judges awarded you a very high score of 72. Please give them a round of applause. Bahati girls, the judges saw it fit to award you 77. You are our winners for the debate.
Congratulations to the ladies of Bahati girls, and of course Nia girls put up a good fight. It was a wonderful debate. Thank you to our in-studio audience and those of you at home for watching. Our hashtag remains GDC for SDGs. I'll end with a quote by Somali poet Wasanshire that was alluded to by one of the debaters. No one puts their child on a boat unless the water is safer than the land. We'll see you next time.
The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.